I'm back, baby. Back in the studio, and I did lock down a place in Texas. I got one more month to go until I move. But I almost made a psychological and emotional mistake, so let me clear something up for you. Right now, at the time of recording, Bitcoin is sitting at just under $61,000. As I was saying in some of my previous videos, I was probably going to be selling whenever we broke down below this parabolic trend line right here. Unfortunately, we have broken down below it, and the 20-day moving average has crossed below the 50-day moving average, which means that we're probably going to continue seeing some downward momentum, or at least sideways. Fortunately, we haven't broke down below this red line, which is about $60,000, or the 200-day moving average, which has been my worst-case scenario in a lot of videos that I've been mentioning up until this point. If you look here at the RSI, you can see that we are putting in a possible bullish divergence, but this actually isn't even confirmed until we start to see some kind of a bounce here, because a divergence is really just a divergence between a higher low or a lower high here on the price action, with the opposite happening on the RSI. Unfortunately, we don't really have a higher low here yet because it hasn't confirmed that it's going to bounce from this point. If it does find support here and continues to the upside, then hopefully we're going to be making a higher high, and this will be a higher low, which will confirm that we're continuing into a bullish trend. But unfortunately, so far it looks like we're only putting in lower highs, and as I said, we did break down below this parabolic trend line that we've been interacting with since the beginning of last year. So as I said in my last video, we are still at the moment of truth, and hopefully we are going to find some support here at $60,000 and go back to the upside, making a lower high and then eventually a higher high. But even if we do bounce right here, we're not out of the woods yet, because we still do have to confirm a higher high to nullify this lower high and continue into an uptrend. If the price action for Bitcoin does break down below this $60,000 and starts closing any daily candles below the 200-day moving average, then we are in a technical bear market, and I know that I'm probably going to continue losing subscribers because I'm saying this, but I don't really care because I'm going to keep it 100% honest with you guys. One mistake that I've actually been making is that this $60,000 range was the floor price that I set because of the bottom range of the electrical costs for actually producing Bitcoin, and as you can see, it did bounce up to about $62,000 right after the halving, but it has retraced down, and currently it's sitting at about $47,500. Usually whenever the electrical cost doubles after the halving, it does have a little bit of a retracement back down, and then the price of Bitcoin, which is kind of hard to see since it's bouncing around here, but a lot of times after the electrical cost does double, right after the halving, it does retrace just a little bit, and then the price will sometimes come down to meet up with it, but it usually doesn't start closing down below it. This means that that's probably going to be a really great buying opportunity and the floor, but with the Bitcoin electrical cost actually coming down to $47,000, this could mean that we're either going to continue sideways until the electrical cost comes back up to meet the price, or that the price action will actually go all the way down to meet up with the electrical cost. But I'm kind of leaning towards a contrarian bet here, because everybody pretty much expects that we're going to be seeing a significant bounce right now, and the market often does the opposite of what people are expecting it to do. So I'm going to be keeping a real close eye on this chart right here, because the electrical cost seems like it's going to be the floor, and if it doesn't start coming up pretty soon, then we might be going down to meet it. Basically, what I've been saying though is still holding true, and I think that this is the last hope and basically the moment of truth, because if we do break down below this $60,000 mark, we probably have some more downward pressure to go, and we will officially be in a downtrend or a bear market. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end of the cycle, and it doesn't mean we're going to be going down to some really low levels necessarily. It just means that the bull market might be on pause, and we might have a little bit of bearish activity to go before it does continue, hopefully around the election. I've been talking a lot in the past how I think the election is going to be really significant coming up for the price action on Bitcoin, and if we do see the Republicans taking over, then it's probably going to be a boon for the price since they've been pro-cryptocurrency. But if Biden does actually win again, then I don't really expect the price action to continue to the upside, because the economy is going to continue falling off a cliff, and the attacks against cryptocurrency are going to continue. On the positive side of this price action though, it does look like this might be extending our cycle a little bit, and I was getting kind of concerned that we were going to be getting overheated and maybe even topping out before the end of the year. So maybe this means that we're going to continue into somewhere deep into next year, and ultimately the top of the market could even be higher than I was expecting. I do think it's going to be a little bit of time until we continue to the upside, though, unfortunately, because we're starting to see a lot of FUD being loaded into the market. Like, according to this article on Coindesk that says the crypto markets are seeing selling pressure in July from the Mt. Gox creditors. A lot of the Mt. Gox Bitcoin is being unlocked and returned back to investors that were robbed of it back whenever Mt. Gox collapsed. And that means that these people are going to be up astronomically and they're going to have a great selling opportunity, which could see them offloading a whole bunch of their Bitcoin, and it could definitely see some downward pressure on the markets. It's not just Mt. Gox, though, because according to this other article on Coindesk, the US has just sent $240 million worth of Silk Road related Bitcoin to Coinbase. Usually, whenever a cryptocurrency is sent to an exchange, that means it's going to be sold off, and the US government does have history of selling off large amounts of Bitcoin, which oftentimes does actually send us down for another leg lower. And I'm not done yet because according to oilprice.com, Germany has also liquidated $150 million in seized crypto. And Bitcoin aside, there's also other major cryptocurrency projects that are going to be seeing unlocks totaling in $755 million in July. Going back to the article about Mt. Gox, it looks like this is going to amount to $9 billion worth of Bitcoin that could be going back onto the market at current prices. So if all of these news articles actually do come to fruition and we see all of this cryptocurrency going back to the market, it could be more than $10 billion worth of selling pressure just in the month of July alone. That's going to be pretty significant and kind of hard to overcome. I know that the ETFs have been having pretty astronomical inflows and setting all kinds of records, but $9 billion is going to be very significant, and even if the ETFs load up a new record worth of Bitcoin onto their balance sheets, we're still probably going to be seeing some kind of selling pressure and downward momentum in the price action happening as a result of these sell-offs, and that could absolutely take Bitcoin down and have it put in an actual lower low and confirm that downtrend, pushing us into what will hopefully just be a short-lived bear market. The FUD just keeps on coming though, because it's not just selling pressure from unlocks and government entities, it's also a continuation of the attacks against cryptocurrency by government agencies such as the SEC. According to this article on Bitcoin.com, the SEC case against Binance has moved forward with major allegations intact. This means that we're going to continue seeing attacks from the SEC against exchanges like Binance, and with Binance being the biggest exchange in the world, this could definitely be very significant. And if the attacks by the SEC weren't enough, we also have the IRS stepping in against cryptocurrency, with them just yesterday revealing their final regulations for crypto broker rules. According to this article by Cointelegraph, it looks like the IRS has announced that basically centralized exchanges are going to have to report all of your crypto transactions so that you can't evade crypto taxes. It says the IRS did not include decentralized exchanges or DEXs or self-custody wallets under its broker reporting requirements. So there might still be some ways for people to get around this thing, but I think that the IRS is going to continue their crackdown, and eventually, if you've been trying to escape paying crypto taxes, then they're going to be coming after you because, as the saying goes, there's only two things that are guaranteed in this life, and that's paying taxes and death. Fortunately, there is one more thing that's actually guaranteed, and that is that the government is going to continue printing money. So even if we do see a short-term sell-off over the next month or so, I think we're going to be rebounding as we do go into the depths of this election cycle, because obviously Joe Biden is going to continue trying to buy votes, and if the economy is in shambles whenever the election does come around, then obviously people are going to be seeking a regime change, and that's not what the Democrats want, obviously. So I think they're going to continue printing money, and this is going to be a boon for cryptocurrency, but over the next couple of months, we might see a little bit of a sell-off as this FUD does work its way through the markets. Finally, and I don't really think this is going to be pushing the market down or anything, but it's definitely something to consider, and it's something that I've talked about in the past before. A lot of people don't want to talk about this subject, but self-custodying your own cryptocurrency is being your own bank, and banks get robbed all the time, guys. According to this article on Wired, a violent gang has been ruthlessly stealing cryptocurrency in home invasion sprees. More than a dozen men threatened, assaulted, tortured, or kidnapped 11 victims in likely the worst ever crypto-focused serial extortion case of its kind in the U.S. If you've been in crypto for some time, you may have heard of a wrench attack. That's basically when someone just hits you over the head with a wrench until you give them your private keys or transfer your cryptocurrency into their wallets. According to this article, a 24-year-old Florida man led a group of men behind a violent crime spree designed to compel victims to hand over access to their cryptocurrency savings. The criminal complaint lays out the charges against the organized group of assailants, focusing largely on a single theft of cryptocurrency from an elderly North Carolina couple whose home this gang broke into before physically assaulting the two victims, both in their 70s, and forcing them to transfer more than $150,000 of Bitcoin and Ethereum to the thieves' crypto wallets. This is why I've mentioned in the past that you really need to get your hands on one of these things. Banks have security guards and armed officers that actually do have firearms, basically standing around waiting for someone to try to rob the place. If you don't have some kind of protection, then you definitely can fall victim to one of these kind of crime sprees, and people could break into your home and steal all of your cryptocurrency. To be fair, it could still happen if you have one of these, but it's much less likely, and if somebody sees you holding up a gun whenever they break into your house, generally they're going to be much less inclined to continue with their break-in, and they're probably just going to run away. If you don't have one of these things though, then you really stand no chance, and you might just get duct taped to a chair and be forced to actually send your cryptocurrency to somebody else's wallet, and you're probably never going to get it back. So just be careful out there, because we're all trying to reach financial independence, but we're not all trying to be robbed at gunpoint here. Everybody in crypto says they're trying to change their lives, but I don't think that's the kind of change in their life that they're talking about. And it sure would be a shame if you go through a whole bear market and deal with all of this stress, finally making some kind of money so that you can retire or maybe give your kids some kind of a great future, and then somebody breaks into your house and just takes it away from you. In that situation, you might actually be better off keeping your money in a bank, even if the government is just going to be devaluing those dollars right out of existence, because they're going to do it a little bit slower than somebody is if they just break into your house and take everything. I know that's a topic that a lot of people don't really want to hear about, but I don't care. A lot of people aren't going to tell you the truth, and I'm going to keep it 100% honest with you guys. It is actually dangerous to hold your own cryptocurrency in self-custody, and this is why you should never let anybody know how much cryptocurrency you actually have. There are people out there that are willing to do dangerous stuff to get a quick leg up in life, and a lot of people have been pretty desperate these days with the economy being in the state that it is, and desperate people do desperate things, so just keep that in mind. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is Bitcoin going to break down below $60,000 and head back down towards the electrical cost? Or is the FUD that the government is trying to load into the crypto markets just going to be brushed to the side and we're going to continue blasting off to the moon? Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if it brought you value. But most importantly, don't forget to do only good every day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.